Is the Gorillaz arguably one of the best bands of all time? I barely know of the group, so that's a very hard distinction to make. But anyway, let me just preference this video by saying this was the first time that I've listened to their music, so I really didn't know what to expect. However, I was pleasantly surprised. Quick backstory so that we're all on the same page. Plastic Beach was the third studio album produced by this band back in 2010. Usually when I'm reviewing an artist, or in this case a band, I start at the beginning of their discography, but in this case I wanted a piece of art that stood out to see if it was my cup of tea. With that being said, let's talk about the album. The album is a buffet of musical genres. It's like Damon went into a music store and decided, you know what, I'm gonna blend everything together and see what works. You've got electronic beats, hip-hop vibes, reggae rhythms. It's like a musical cookout and everyone's allowed to bring their dish. And if you're like me, the feature list is nothing like you would expect. Snoop Dogg rolls in like a laid-back uncle but early to the cookout. And then Lou Reed makes an appearance, wondering how he probably got here. And then you got features from Kano and Bashi that makes you feel like you're watching an episode of Top Boy. But let's discuss it track by track. It's like an appetizer. Like the tiniest of appetizers, like the appetizer before an appetizer. It's like the musical equivalent to a magician's disappearing act. Poof, and you're gone. But even in its 1 minute of glory, it still manages to make you feel like you're wearing a suit filled with sound waves.
It's like Wonderland.
So on my first listen of Welcome to the Plastic Beach, I was pleasantly surprised by seeing Snoop Dogg here. Absolutely no clue on why Snoop Dogg would be on an album like this. However, I didn't mind it. Snoop Dogg raps about pirates, UFOs, and dolphins, which I guess all fit thematically. But the track sounds incredibly futuristic combined with a symphony of synths. White Flag is definitely a standout track to me. Just hearing Kano and Bashi over these grand, lush Arabic strings was phenomenal. Not to mention, I really like British people's accent. Perfect example on Kano's verse, he said, I believe I ain't Jesus, but I'm walking on water. I love it, I love it, I love it. Don't you just imagine that with a better British accent, because mine absolutely sucks, but I just like it. And then later on you got Bashi's verse, and then you got both rappers going back and forth with each other over this beat. Overall, I'll definitely come back to this track. On Rhinestone Eyes, you have Damon's vocals that slide across this glitchy, futuristic soundscape that sounds equal parts trippy and catchy. The track actually sounds like a musical acid trip through this digital wonderland. It's a type of sound that makes you feel like you're skating on air, and the chorus has this sound wave that continues to ride on. Stylo is simple in a good way. The drums and synths are very simple, but when paired together, they come to life in the most electrifying way. But I'm a sucker for soul music, so hearing that Bobby Womack vocals, that was like my favorite part of the song. I also took the time to look at the music video for this song, and probably it's just because of my friends and family and how they don't listen to music like this, but like I thought it would have been talked about more, considering that the music video was really good and it also has like 135 million views. Superfast Jellyfish was the first track on this album that I really didn't like. It's basically a soundtrack about consumerism and how it's bad. I also took the time to look at the music video for this, and it's basically a guy just microwaving fast food. But the track just comes off as like a unskippable cable ad. And yes, the content is supposed to fit with the theme of pollution, but it's just bad execution, and the features were kinda mid. Empire Ants sounds like something that would be on an episode of BoJack Horseman after he inevitably does something stupid and starts feeling bad for himself. Not that I've ever taken psychedelics, but I would assume this is what the theme song for Being High would feel like. It's just very free-flowing and weightless. But that's only on the first half of this track. On the second half, the track just transitions into this grand 80s synth anthem, and you're like, holy shit, like where did this come from? Glitter Freeze is another standout track for me. It has this really icy beat that builds over time. It's a unique blend of electronic beats and eccentricity that I just haven't heard before. And the collaboration between Mark E. Smith and The Fall adds a bit of quirkiness to this track that gives it a lot of personality. Some Kind of Nature is a miss for me. The chorus just sounds a bit too poppy, a bit too radio, and overall it just doesn't have that much personality. You either think the song is incredibly underrated or you just don't care for it. And I think I know which group I identify more with. And then Lou Reed's feature was just, I don't know, he just sounded really square on this track. Melancholy Hill sounds incredibly commercial. It's like what would be playing in a montage scene in a romantic comedy. You know, like a song that would wrap up a sitcom season finale. Damon's vocals is soothing and the track does feel like, you know, breeze on a sunny day. However, I just feel like the track plays on nostalgia. My mind is open to change. However, I think after a few listens to it, I think I'm really solid on my feelings.
Nothing you can say to him.
Broken is a snooze fest. The track barely develops. You can most definitely skip this track. Sweepstakes, unlike the other track, actually builds over time. In the beginning, it starts off as absolute dog shit, like I would rather listen to a Taylor Swift song. But if you let it play, it turns into this wonderful parade of music. The instrumental progression on this track is something I really admire, and I'm really glad I didn't give up on listening to it halfway through. However, I can't emphasize enough on how dog shit the beginning of this track was. Mos Def's rapid fire verse on this track was really energetic, and this fusion of hip hop, electronic pop, and this grand production really gives you a rush of adrenaline. Plastic Beach is where I feel like the album should have ended. Everything in the track just starts melting together. The melody is filled with a roller coaster of highs and lows, very unconventional, very unexpected, but overall a paradise of funky tunes. To Binge sounds like the end credits to the album. Cause again, it should have ended at Plastic Beach, but no, we need to drag this bitch out some more.
Like setting suns at the road. The taps running for 100 years.
Private Jets is the last track on this album, and although I've been saying that the album should have ended at Plastic Beach, I actually don't mind this track. The instrumental feels like a musical daydream. It's very calm and soothing. The gentle arrangements of the instrumental creates a sense of tranquility and wonder in a sense, and Damon's vocals tends to be whimsical, which adds to the atmosphere and serves as like a decent conclusion to the album. Overall, I'm feeling like a shaky 6. Yeah, 6. This album is a quirky dystopian future. It's filled with good features, a lot of futuristic sounds, heavy synths, electronic funk, and a grand scheme of melodies. For a first time listener of their music, I don't think my feelings would change about it that much. However, I do look forward to listening and reviewing more of their albums. A couple of standout tracks here and there, a couple of misses here and there, but you know, overall it was quite decent. I just wish the album had ended a bit sooner and some of the execution was just poor. But yeah, whether you agree with me or not, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Please form your own opinion and links will be in the description. So yeah, thanks for watching.